going to be recording tonight, so if we're missing anybody, they can watch it online. So to those online, welcome. Otherwise, thank you, first of all. Really appreciate you guys stepping up. I think it's a great thing you're doing for our kids, our younger guys that third grade and a little bit higher, that they can look to you guys. I've got a second grader and a fourth grader myself. I also have a 10th grader, and each of them are involved in Eden Prairie basketball. And the fact that we have this type of turnout really speaks to just the involvement and how committed everybody is. So thank you. As we go in and we start talking about the different expectations of referees, I know as a coach, I've been coaching for over 10 years, and you know, giving referees a hard time here and there, but I don't do it often. And there's a reason I don't do it often. I expect two things of my referee brothers out there. Number one is that the calls are fair. That doesn't mean right, is that they're fair, because referees are human. And you guys are out there, you're human. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna get things right, you're gonna get things wrong sometimes, but so long as it's being done consistently across the board, that is number one expectation. Number two expectation is that you're keeping the kids safe. You're managing the game. That's ultimately the most important thing you can do, is to manage what's going on in that game and manage everybody's expectations, and that starts with you refereeing those games. So again, thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to Travis and others that are much better suited for training you guys. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Martin. Just wanted to introduce myself, guys. My name is Travis Severson. I'm new in this job, just like many of you are too. Just volunteered with the Eden Prairie Basketball Association, so I'm going to be the youth referee coordinator, so I'm going to be the guy sending out the emails. We'll talk more about that a little later. We'll get started with the training here in a few minutes, but just I'll say it a few more times tonight. Make sure you check in your emails. This getting to your referee job and getting to your right spot all depends on you checking the email and then sending me back an email to make sure I know you're coming. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but again, my name's Travis. Look for my emails.
All right, guys.
Introduce the referees here. Go ahead, guys.
My name is Jeff Stottlemyre. This is Buddy Hemrick. Between the two of us, we've got over 70 years of experience refereeing. Not that that means anything to you guys, but hopefully some of our insight can be bounced off you guys, and you guys can take it and roll with it. How many guys are brand new to officiating? Okay, we have a few. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it, and hopefully you guys can continue. Hopefully you like it and continue. So how many guys have we got, like, first 1 to 2 or 3 years of officiating? All right, good. My question to you guys that have been officiating, I assume you play the game of basketball, right? Okay. So when you started officiating, did you have an idea that a referee had to know as much as they have to know when you're on the court? Okay, I'm not getting... one of our points is when you guys play the game and then all of a sudden officiate, there's so much information that a referee has to know and has to do out there on the court. Personally, I think a player then has a newfound respect for a referee. So I really do believe that. Once you guys get out there on the court and start refereeing, you're going to realize how much a referee has to know, and then you'll gain a lot more respect for him. But I also want to put a plug in as far as becoming a referee. If you guys like it and want to continue doing it, the next level from the in-house program would be going into the traveling part of it and doing a lot of association tournaments, MYAS, which has a lot of tournaments throughout the metro. if you like it and want to do stuff like do those games on weekends or weeknights, I mean, you can make yourself $24, $25, $26 a game, and if you do 4 or 5 games a day or 10 games a day, how many you think you can handle, you got a pretty nice paycheck after your tournament. So it is a nice little income, and if you go on to college and have a nice little job, support your college education or what have you, I think that's a value to you. And that's how I got started after I got done playing basketball, and I really do think that it's a good paying back. Of course, back when I started, we weren't making the money we are now. And if you want to go further and go on into the high school ranks, I mean, you're looking at what, $65 a game for varsity?
$56 to $68 a game for a varsity, and sometimes you'll get a double, what they call a double varsity game or a double header. I usually try to give it that away because there's not enough officials, and you could get up to $127 a night officiating. Then you can go to the college level, and some of these D2 colleges, they'll pay anywhere from $150 to $300 a game. Then if you go to like you get good and go to the NBA, you get like up to $3,000 a game.
Yeah.
So you can make really good money. The MYS, we use over 580 referees constantly, and we have some referees that do not have a full-time job. All they do is referee, and some of them are making $60,000 a year. I want to touch on one of the things that he brought up earlier about basketball official. You are going to make mistakes. If you think you're not going to make a mistake, you just made the first one by thinking that. And what I usually tell our traveling parents when they call me and complain about an official, which I get them all the time, first thing I tell them, they're human, like he said, and I also tell them if they were perfect, I couldn't afford them anyway. Myself, I watch college games, I watch the pro games. Those officials make so many errors, it's not even funny. And it's just part of the game. It's how you deal with it after the fact. As an official, the only thing that the two coaches can ask from you, consistency. If it's a foul on that end of the court, it's a foul on this end of the court. If you blew a call down here, you don't go down here and have a makeup call. Try to find something. You made a mistake, deal with it. It's how you deal with it. There's going to be times that something happens during the game and you're going to go, did I rule that right? Guarantee you nobody in here knows all the rules. Nobody. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Let's see how many people can answer this. Which one's bigger, front court or back court? Does anybody know? You think it's a true question. There is a right answer to it. Okay, so everybody doesn't know, so I'm going to explain it to you. There's a 2-inch line that goes down the middle of the court. To get in the front court, you step across the line, both feet in the ball. To get back in the back court, all you got to do is touch the line. Back court is 2 inches bigger by rule than the front court.
And we're telling you this stuff because, again, a referee has to know an awful lot of stuff out there.
And I'll tell you right now, if you've never had it happen to you, you've never seen it, there's going to be things that you don't know. I'll give you a prime example. During a JV game that I had one time, jump ball, kid got the ball going towards the wrong basket. He goes up behind the 3-point line, takes a shot, and he's fouled in the act of shooting, and the ball goes in. What do you rule?
What's the rule on that?
Okay, first of all, if he wasn't fouled and the ball goes in, does the basket count? For how many points? And remember, he's behind the 3-point line. 2. Because by rule, if you're not shooting at your own basket, that's all you get. Okay? Now, since this kid got fouled, I blew my whistle and waved off the basket because it did go in. Reason for that, once again, by rule, you don't have continuation if you're not shooting at your own basket. So it's a dead ball immediately. Doesn't matter if it goes in or not. And to be honest with you, I ruled it, told 2 coaches. Now remember, these are varsity coaches. I'm telling them that the basket didn't count. And they looked at me, looked at each other, looked at me, looked at each other, and I could understand that they didn't know what was going on. I said, coaches, I can get your email after the game, and I'll send you the verbiage out of the rule book. Me and Jeff used to be high school partners, and he used to laugh at me because I could basically recite the rule book inside and out, which is what he just picked up. Everybody, it's a good thing to have a rule book, to learn the rules. And I will tell you, that is the most boring thing in the world to read.
Correct.
That's why they came up with a case book that goes along with that. So in the case book, they'll tell you, just like I gave you a situation that happened, it will give you that situation and then ask you the ruling. Then it tells you the ruling. Very good to have that. Also, they have what they call a handbook. And they have an official manual. And these things have in there things about what you're supposed to wear, how to act, and all that good stuff. But they're about $10.50 a piece. They're kind of expensive, but they're good to have if you're planning on going further on in the game. So anyway, we always ask you some questions about how much you know and rules and everything. And I just want everybody to understand, don't ever come up with the idea you know everything, because there's going to be something that's going to come up. And
We want you guys to know that if you have a question on any kind of ruling throughout the course of the year, I'm not going to give you my email address. Kurt's got it, Travis has it. If you have any question concerning a rule and want a clarification on it, get a hold of those 2. They can get you my email, because I want to hear about it, okay? And you may see me throughout the season come by and just kind of watch you guys and observe you, and same with Buddy. He might do that as well. But they also have Buddy's email address. So if you do have a question about a ruling, get a hold of those 2 and they'll get you my email address, and also Buddy's.
we'll get you the right answer.
Yeah.
Like I said, you may not know everything. You may make a mistake. How you deal with it is by finding out if you're right or wrong, by contacting and talking to people. 2 officials, both of you, you need to talk to each other. You may not work with each other before. Talk to each other.
Communication's a key, big key.
One of the things that me and Jeff used to do, even after reffing for over 30 years, every night we would pick out one thing that we wanted to work on. And we would work on that night. The next night we had a different thing, and over and over and over. But it's just learning your trade. And you could really make some good money at this. And I'm telling you right now, the high school league doesn't have enough officials.
Correct.
A couple years ago, when they changed over and started using 3 officials, which they allow the conferences to decide if they want to use 3 or 2. When they went to 3, immediately they didn't have enough officials. It used to be on Tuesday nights and Friday nights the only time you had high school basketball. Now they have it on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, just so they can have enough officials.
Correct.
So they need officials. They definitely need officials. MYS, where I work, we need officials. And we'd be more than happy, you have to be at least 17 to do our games, but after you get to that age, we can get you games. And guarantee, if you're a good official, dependable, and on time, you're going to get all the games you want.
Speaking of being on time, if you walk in the gym at game time, you're late. Do whatever you can to get there 10 to 15 minutes prior to the scheduled start time of your games. I say that because it will give you time to, if you haven't worked with your partner before, get to know your partner, number 1. Number 2, get to know the coaches, have a meeting with the coaches, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well, before the game, pre-game meeting, and just being there on time. The parents, the kids, and the coaches are going to have that much more respect for you. Because if you walk in at game time, that doesn't look very good. The other thing, do not walk in there with your cell phones, or walk in there with the headset on, with some earbuds. Do not do that. Now, if you want to use your cell phone At halftime, between games.
But not at timeouts, because you don't have enough time.
And don't be running up and down the basketball court with your cell phone in your hand. I've seen it done, that's why I say that. It does not look good, and I don't know if they're going to talk to you. I assume they're going to talk to you about that as well. But do not do that. That does not make you look good at all.
And when you come to a game, look how you look.
They're going to give you a uniform, right?
Correct.
They're going to look at you. If you go out there and you got your shirt tail hanging out, you got a hat on backwards, and you're just goofing around, they can't respect you, and they shouldn't respect you. You should never come out there like that. Don't bring your girlfriend to your game to watch you. It's not there for a social hour. You're there to ref the game. And you don't need to be talking to people on the sideline. If you show up at a game and the game you got scheduled happens to be your next door neighbor, if there's a game beside you and you can, switch. And don't ref your next door neighbor or any of your relatives' games. It just doesn't look good. Now, if you can't switch, what you need to do, if you have to say something to one coach, you have them both there together. Because it doesn't look like you good old buddies here, and I'm over here talking to Jeff for 15 minutes, and I'm ignoring Kurt over there, and he's going to, I'm not going to get a close game here. So it's the way you handle yourself means a lot. You just got to do it that way. Jeff touched a little bit on coaches. Let's get started on coaches. There's varsity coaches that don't know rules.
Correct.
It is amazing to me how many varsity games I've done in my life, and the coaches had no clue. Seriously, it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God they finally got a little bit of intelligence. The high school league started making the high school coach take the same test I did. But it's a different story. There's going to be coaches on the bench. There's going to be arguing calls with you. You got to understand, they have a personal tie with that team because one of their kids probably was one of their kids. So they're going to be having their parent mode and coach mode at the same time. You're going to have disagreements with coaches. But you need to take and handle it very professional. In other words, if a coach was screaming at me, I would say, Coach, if you calm down, we'll have a conversation. If you can't calm down, we're not having a conversation. You need to be calm at all times and try to get them to calm down. Now, you got to also understand the difference between a comment and a question. As you're going up and down the court, they may be making comments about you or your partner. You ignore those. If they got a question, you don't stop as you're going down the court and answer him. You just go, I'll get back with you first dead ball and go on. And then you can come back and talk to them. Usually most coaches, you come back and they already forgot what they were going to ask you anyway. So
If you got a coach that's bugging you and won't leave you alone, and if your partner's got the ball on the other end, try to give your partner a signal somehow to get that ball put in play, because as soon as that ball gets put in play, guess what? You're not talking to that coach anymore. You got to pay attention to the game. Do what you can to get that game started so that coach can't talk to you.
So you're the one that dictates how long that conversation is going to last.
Make it short.
I have also told coaches before, Coach, I guess we have to agree to disagree. And when they asked me a question, I always started my answer out, Coach, this is what I saw.
Do you guys, when you have at the site, do you have like a site coordinator?
No.
The reason I say that is because if you have a parent or a coach that just is out of control and you can't deal with it, will the school have a site coordinator, do you know?
Hall monitor or something?
Or hall monitor? Okay. Then if you have a parent or a coach that just is out of control and you just can't deal with it, get the site coordinator from the school, or if there's someone from the association there, have them deal with it. You have a game to do, you guys don't need to put up with that. But get them involved to get that parent out of there.
Now, talking about parents, the worst thing you can do as an official, parents are going to disagree with, you're going to have 50% of them will agree with your call, and 50% is going to disagree with every call you make. You got to understand that. If they're yelling at you, complaining about a call or that you did or didn't make, worst thing you can do is turn and make eye contact with that parent. Ignore parents. Keep your back to them. Don't turn and say anything to them. Now, what I've done in the past when it comes to if a parent is out of control, I have actually, first dead ball situation, I blow my whistle and go over, Coach, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to take care of your parent. If you can't take care of them, you're not gonna like the way that I have to do it. I don't say anything more than, I don't say, I'm gonna give you a technical.
That's giving the coach the hint that, well, I'm gonna get a technical if I don't do something about it.
But now, if you, whatever you tell that coach, if you tell the coach you say another word, you're getting a technical, then you better give him a technical the next time he says anything. So that's why you never say, Coach, I'm gonna give you a technical. Just say, Coach, I'm gonna handle it in a way you probably won't like, and then turn around and walk away. But you gotta be a very diplomatic as a referee, period. We already talked about the only thing that coaches can ask for is you be consistent. Make sure it calls both ends of the court are the exact same. Now, in the high school, we rotate every time we have a foul. Reason for that, no two officials are alike. No two officials, every official has their own, if you want to call it a pet call. They may call travel quicker than others, they make hand checks or whatever. So to make it consistent and even for the teams, that's why at high school level we rotate. Okay, and you guys need to get in the habit of that too. And I'm gonna tell you right now, in the in-house and traveling, you don't have to rotate every time. But with that said, if you just made 4 calls on the same team and that coach is behind you chewing on your ear, that might be a good time to rotate with your partner.
Don't just rotate at halftime.
Yeah.
What's wrong with just rotating at halftime? You got the same team starting the second half, right?
You get the same
So
basket.
rotate. We're not asking you to rotate like high school, but if you rotate, well, like Buddy says, if you got a coach chewing your ear, rotate, or at least a couple times. Are we doing quarters or halves? I'm sorry.
Halves.
Halves. Rotate a couple times a half.
State of Minnesota, we decided to change it to halves, about 5 years ago, and now they're talking about changing the NCAA men's to back to quarters.
Yeah.
So we may be switching back.
Switching back.
Just giving you a little bit of heads up on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, when you're reffing, and especially since most of you be doing younger kids, if a kid looks at you like, what did I do wrong? Explain it to them.
Explain it to them. Yeah.
If they took 2 steps, look, you can't pick up the ball and move both feet. Just explain it to them and go on. Some coaches may take offense to that. If they do, they're idiots, as far as I'm concerned, because you're trying to help them, but you need to try to help them out there. Now, if a coach doesn't understand something and you have to explain it to him, once again, dead ball situations. You do not call and stop the play just because he wants an explanation. First chance you get, then you can talk to him. But you got to keep the flow of the game going, okay? The key is to make the games fun for the kids and go from there. And as a referee, one of the things that drives me crazy is to see a referee come across half court and stop. Just stop. You have to move. How far down you go is dictated by where the ball is.
You guys in your manual have court coverage. Very, very good layout of what area you need to cover. So I wish we were on the court, but we don't have that.
All right,
So-
let's just look at this diagram 213. You have a T, that's the trail. The trail's the guy at half court, and the L's the lead. Lead's always the one at the baseline, okay? If you look at the highlighted area here, that's T's area. That's the only area he or she should be watching. If both referees are watching the ball everywhere it goes, that means there's probably 8 players that nobody is watching. they could pull out a knife and cut each other, and you wouldn't know it. Do not ball hawk. In other words, you don't watch the ball everywhere it goes. Only watch it if it's in your area. You need to learn your areas, and this is a good diagram. It's coming right out of the high school league manual. But like I said, the T's got that little L shape there, and that's the only time that they should be watching the ball if it's there. The lead has got the white area. That's the only area they should be watching. The only time you should have a double whistle is if the ball is right on the corner of the two, leaving the trail going into the lead, or vice versa. Now, if that happens, if there's a double whistle, you need to look at your partner, and you guys need to talk. Because if he's got to travel, and I've got to hold, and he's out there calling a travel, and I'm calling a hold, the coaches should be upset. Okay? So talk to each other. What we used to do, whoever's area was close, we'd point to them and you got it, and go that way. Now, let's talk a little bit about whistle. A lot of the times when it comes to...
You guys have to get your own whistle, correct?
Correct.
Okay. General Sports is not too far from here. Cine Dina on 50th in France. I would highly recommend, and I didn't mean to cut Buddy off, but I would highly recommend a Fox 40 whistle.
That's what we're required to buy at the varsity level. Reason for it? Pretty loud. With that said, as a referee, you should be able to blow your whistle loud enough to stop the play on that court. That's not blowing your whistle. Maybe the first 4 people close to you heard that, but parents didn't or nothing.
You got to be assertive when you blow your whistle.
Okay, when you blow your whistle, the first thing that's got to happen after that, hands got to go in the air.
Not like this, but like this.
Hit that ear, okay? You should get in the habit of doing the hand signals.
When you go up with the hand, after you blow your whistle, go up with the open hand. Why do I say that? Because if you're not quite sure yet of what you're going to call, if it's going to be a violation or a foul, everyone's going to see it as being a violation, but then by the time you get up there, if you decide it's going to be a foul, close your fist and everyone's going to see that it's a foul.
Remember, this is a violation,
but
this is a foul.
Correct. Violation, foul. And like Buddy said, hit the ear. Make sure you go up as high so everyone can see it. Don't
Now,
pull this stunt. Up here.
We're going to talk a little bit now about hand charge. Like I said, everybody should be giving, after you do the foul sign, you should at least give the hand signal what happened. If there's not a hand signal for what you're calling on this page, you don't have nothing. A lot of people don't understand that. There's no such thing as over the back, even though parents are going to scream at you about it. No such call as over the back.
Okay. I'm a player. Ball's coming this way, and I get the ball without any contact. There's no contact.
He can have contact, you just can't displace him.
Is there a foul there? No. But how many people are going to holler at you over the back, over the back? There's no such thing as over the back, and there's no contact, so you don't have anything. But now if I do this...
When I can't jump?
Now we got displacement, basically.
You actually got a hold.
That's a hold, not a displacement. Yeah, a displacement. I didn't mention
Displacement.
that's displacement.
Yeah.
But that's a hold, yeah. We got a hold, now you have a foul. Or if I bump player and move him out of his or her space, then you got displacement.
So, a lot of parents are going to want you to call over the back. A lot of parents are
such
going to
thing.
want you to call 3 seconds in the lane. 3 seconds in the lane, they can stay there all day long as there's a shot made. Shot made. And keep on shooting. You could be in there all day long. Because somebody, after the shot is taken, somebody has to get possession of the ball before you can start another count. So if they catch the rebound, shoot it, catch a rebound, shoot it, they can be in there all day long. And another thing that a lot of people don't understand, if I'm on the side and I shoot the ball and I miss the rim, the backboard and everything, and I run over and get the ball, I can actually catch the ball and dribble. Because once again, when the ball is shot, all restrictions are away. as long as in the eyes of the referee, it was a legitimate shot. They can run over there and take care of it. And we're gonna be touching on a lot of stuff here. I just wanna make sure you guys understand some things that a lot of parents don't understand. So another thing, out of bounds. You have an imaginary spot. If I tell Jeff he has a spot before I hand him the ball, he's got an imaginary 3-foot box that starts from the line and goes all the way back to the wall. The rule states all you have to do is have 1 foot on or above that imaginary 3-foot box.
Correct.
So he can actually take a half step one way and have his foot in the air and go back over here, do the same thing, and nothing can be called.
Okay, so what if a player does that? What if a player takes a couple extra steps sideways? What do you got? Don't call it travel. It's not a travel. I've had referees call travel. It's not a travel. It's just simply a violation because it's a dead ball.
Spot violation. So hands in the air, and you call it a spot violation. Now, when can you run the baseline?
After a made basket, right?
After a made basket or after a timeout after a made basket. Okay? Now, at the young level that you guys are doing, you need to make sure you are talking and training these kids every time. Before you hand them the ball, you have a spot you can't move. Okay? You say that to them. Or if they can run the baseline, you have the baseline. You tell them. Okay? Now, let's talk about handing the ball to them. If I got the ball here, I'm getting ready to hand the ball to Jeff. I hand it to him like this, and I start my count.
What's wrong with that?
I'm going right to his face, see? So what I should do, when I get the ball, I hand it to him 1 step away, and I start my count. Always use the hand by him, because this is wrong. If I turn my body to hand it to him, I lose sight of the other players on the field or the court. So always get used to using whichever hand is closest to the player. Talk to these kids. Explain to them. One of the things that I used to do when I coached kids, young kids, I would make my kids go, "Can I move?" I'd make them ask the referee before they'd even take the ball. If I ever saw them grab a ball from a referee without asking them, I would take and sit them down and talk to them before I put them back in. And they learned real quick, nope, I'm not taking the ball. Okay? So, help the kids out. Give them some advice. Talk to them. What's going on there and everything. All right? So, you're helping the kids a lot by doing that. Now, let's talk a little bit about more to that.
Right here.
Oops. All right, if the ball is going to be inbounded over here, okay, I shouldn't stand there because I'm in the way. They can't pass cross court over there. My job would be over here away from them, because that way that person can pass the ball basically the whole court without me being in their way. You understand that? Now, if you're up here, they're here trying to inbound the ball, that's where you're going to inbound it. Once again, if we're going this way, I'm on this side. Once again, if I'm over here, I'm keeping him from passing over here because I'm in his way.
You've got this sideline that you have to cover, and then you've got this baseline, because if the ball happens to go this way on a deflection, you got to run back and cover this line and this line, whereas your partner's down here, he's got this line and then this line. Does that make sense?
All right, we'll go a little bit more into detail on that. All right, he's got the baseline. He's the lead. That's the line he has, right there. Those two lines, that ball goes out of bounds on either one of those, he has to cover them, not me. Okay, it's not my call if the ball goes out of bounds. It should be Jeff's. Now, me, I'm up here. My line is here and across here, and if the ball does change going in the opposite direction, I got this line. But that's the two lines that I've got. I have to cover the ball going out of bounds. I have to cover the ball going over and back. I got to cover that. Okay? That's what I have to do as the trail. you have to learn a lot of stuff to be a referee. I hate saying that, but it's true.
But it's true.
And one of the things you always should do, you should be looking through the lane and see your partner. Okay? If your partner's standing here and you're standing there, you're in the wrong spot.
Wrong spot.
Or he's in the wrong spot. One of the two. Because you should never have both of you on the same side. Because then who's covering that line over there? Nobody. Okay? So, you gotta learn where you're supposed to be, your areas and where to go and everything. Now, one of the things that is kind of hard for people to understand too, when you're leading trail, how far you go from side to side. I guess I should have stayed over there. But as a trail official, I have this big area here, the big L.
Like we talked about, yep.
So if the ball comes across half court and it's over here, I should move over some to see. I should go
Don't
past
cross half court.
Yeah.
Basically use your the basket as your guide.
The reason I go over there, now how far do I go? As long as there's nobody in my area behind me. I do not want to go too far over and have people behind me that I can't see. So that dictates, that's one thing that dictates how far I go over. Same thing with Jeff here. If Jeff's up here and he's up here,
Oh, sorry.
and how far does he go over? Once again, you got an imaginary line down the middle.
Yep. Use that use the basket as your guide. Don't go beyond that basket.
And he should never come over this way and have somebody standing over here
Correct.
behind him because he can't see them.
Correct.
Once again, if there's people in your area, you got to stay out far enough where you can see. One of the things about basketball courts, I don't know what the courts you have, but if you're on the main court at the high school, there's plenty of room from the end line to the wall. Don't stand right on the line. Take a half a step back and you're going to be amazed how much more of an angle you got.
Yeah.
When you get that angle, it's perfect. And that's what you need to try to do. But work with your partner, make sure you guys are on the court, lined up where you're supposed to. Now let's talk about the basketball. If Jeff's got the ball, he's holding the ball, and I'm guarding him, I'll slap his hand. Is that a foul? No, it's not.
Because my hand's part of the ball.
From here down, if I hit him, it's not a foul. Here up, it is a foul. Why am I telling you that? Once again, if Jeff's standing there and I'm standing here and you're standing behind him and you hear a smack, you can't call it because you don't know what it was. Once again, you need to get an angle. You need to make sure you can get an angle to see at least the side of their body so you can see if that was a slap on the hand or on the up here. You know, you got to move to get an angle all times. As a basketball player, you should be thinking about where you are going to pass the ball. See who's open on the court. As a referee, you need to be looking and see, okay, if he does pass the ball, where would he pass it? So you can get that angle at all times. Getting an angle to be able to call a foul. You cannot call something, let's put it, you should not call nothing if you don't see what happened. Just because little Johnny's mom and dad are back here yelling at you saying that's a foul, you don't need to call it. They have the luxury of having a little 6-foot bubble around little Johnny, and that's all they see. Anything that goes in that area, if there's a gnat that flies through there, they're going to see that.
They're going to see that.
But you've got to understand that you can only call what you can see. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, sometimes parents and coaches will have a better angle than you. And it shouldn't be because you're not working to get that angle. Work to get that angle to help that team out. And if you blow it, you can actually tell a coach, say, Coach, look, I was trying hard to get the angle, but I was screened. Don't use that as a crutch, though. But you need to try to work really, really hard to make the coaches happy. Yes?
You said if he hits the hand on the ball, that's not a foul. If he's dribbling, is that the same thing?
Ball is got to be in contact with the ball. In other words, if he's holding it, okay? But yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know that. A lot of coaches don't know that. But you have to work at that. Another thing that we need to talk about the whistles. You know, we talked about blowing it. Don't run up and down the court holding the whistle in your hand. Nothing makes me more upset to see a play that something happens and the referee's trying to get the whistle in his mouth, and all of a sudden they've already went 10 feet, and you shouldn't blow the whistle in because, okay, you should have blown it 10 feet away. Whistles have notches in the front to go in your mouth. You don't have to chew on your whistle, just put your teeth against it, and it will not come out because of the notches in front of you of the whistle. So don't run up and down the court, hold it in your hand. Whistle's got to go in your mouth. There's only one time you should not have a whistle in your mouth, and that's, you guys do jump balls, right? All right, to start the game, you start the game with a jump ball.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, all right, go ahead.
If you are the official that's doing the jump ball, okay, Jeff, mark where they, all right, Jeff, all right, the table's over on the side.
Tables are over on the side. You got
And you-
the scoreboard over here.
So I'm over here, and my job is to score the tables right here. I will turn and ask them if they're ready to go. Make sure that they got the books ready to go and all that stuff. And then I'll turn and I'll give a thumbs up to my partner. And then I'll straddle the line here, okay? His job, and my whistle would be in my mouth if I'm over here.
This guy here better not have their whistle in their mouth. Do not put your whistle in your mouth. Why? You throw that ball up in the air, and if you have your, and I've seen this done, you have your whistle in your mouth, the kids go up to get the ball, I've seen an elbow, all of a sudden they got some broken teeth, something with the jaw. Don't put your whistle in your mouth if you're the guy throwing the ball up.
Now you'll have it in your mouth, you go out there, we got black going this way, we got red going this way. You don't put the whistle back in your mouth.
Nope.
Anything happens in that circle there that's not supposed to happen,
This
That
guy's
person.
got to see it.
he's got to blow his whistle
Yep. If the guy that's throwing up the ball, if the ball goes
at an angle.
at an angle, this guy better blow the whistle to make sure that the clock doesn't start and make sure you re-jump. So you got to be fair. If you go too high or at an angle, your partner back here better blow his whistle. Make sure that you start over.
As an official, you can either do it one hand or two hand.
Whatever works best for you.
You should practice your jump balls. You really, really should. Some people used to, some use one. I use one. What I used to do when I step in, I put the ball right here, and I didn't immediately toss the ball. I just randomly, whenever I decided to go up, because I want them to guess. How high did I throw the ball?
Not
Higher than I thought they could jump. In other words, the ball has to go up and start coming back down for them to touch it. Okay? So that's up to you guys. If it's too low, you need to redo it. If it's too high, do it again. Okay? But you can use one hand or two hand. Now, me, when I toss the ball up, I stand perfectly still. I do not back out of the circle. Because if I start backing up, I'm either going to trip over somebody or I'm going to trip somebody. My job is to stand perfectly still till that everything is cleared out of this area. Then I'll go in the opposite direction of my partner. Now, if Jeff's over here and the ball's going this way, he comes down and he takes the lead position down here. After everybody's cleared out, I will come over to here and take the trail. Now, if it goes the other way, it's just reverse order. But you've got to understand when you toss the ball not to back up. I've seen, in high school level, I've seen coach or referees trip kids. I've seen kids get tripped by the referee. And one of the things you said earlier, I really like is the fact he told you to make sure the kids are safe. Anything you see on that court that's unsafe, make sure you're very strict with it and don't change it, because it's nothing worse than somebody break it. Let's just say there's a piece of the floor's wet and you know it's wet, but you let them go ahead and play. Somebody slides, breaks an arm. That's your fault. That's why Jeff talked to you earlier about getting there early. Get there early and look around. Make sure there's nothing unsafe on that court. Protect the kids. Now they're going to be doing boys, correct? Hopefully boys don't have earrings then. But earrings, if they do have them in, they come out. They do not play with earrings in. They do not tape over them. Why is that? Because if they're playing and they have earrings in and they got them taped up, that tape, if it comes off and it gets hung on somebody's jersey, it could rip their ear. It actually happened in Texas. A referee,
What, 5 years ago, I think.
yeah, a referee actually allowed a girl to tape over her earrings. In the second half, the tape come off, earring got hung, ripped her ear. Parents sued that referee for $250,000. Guess what? It took 20 minutes for the judge to give that $250,000 to those parents, because there is a rule book stating that you're not supposed to wear jewelry. With that said too, make sure they don't have any watches on, because they can scratch people. These little rubber bands, they shouldn't be in there either. Somebody's finger could get hung in there and break or dislocate a finger. And with that said, you guys shouldn't be reffing a game with a watch on or earrings. If you're going to tell them to get them, take them off, you should do the same thing.
Funny, what's the one thing you can't wear?
A medical alert bracelet. If I'm a diabetic, if I had a metal that says I'm a diabetic, I still have to tape it to my body. It can't be bouncing around. Or if I have a bracelet, I have to tape up everything but the little part that says I was a diabetic. It has to be taped. Okay? There's a lot of things that it's unfortunate that they haven't basically ruled on. I'll give you a prime example, a insulin pump. That's not an approved piece of apparatus for a kid to wear, even though they have to wear it for it. And the coach should have a slip saying from the doctor that it can't hurt anybody if it falls out, which it can. But anyway, it's just certain things. You make sure that the kids are safe. I had a game one time that I was coaching, and we were playing this North St. Paul team, or a St. Paul team. Anyway, a kid had a padlock on his shoe. And as soon as I saw the padlock, I walked over to the referee and I go, I think that padlock should come off, because that's hazardous if somebody, you know, if somebody falls and he could actually kick him in the head with it by accident or whatever. And the coach for that team and that coach, or the player and the parent, really got mad at me because I told him he had to take that lock off. Well, it's just common sense. Why you put a lock on your shoe, I don't know. But that was just the way it was. Yes, sir.
Also, a cast or
Cast.
a brace on the finger.
Okay, you guys go strictly by high school league rules for something like a cast? All right, this is weird. How many of you play football? All right, in football you can wear a cast as long as you put foam rubber over it, right? Yeah, I can't in basketball.
And basketball.
In basketball, anything hard or unyielding from your elbow to your hand, the wrist, okay? Can be anything hard or unyielding. A lot of times people sprain their wrist and they go to Walgreens and get one of those little rubberized things that they put on there. Well, it's got a metal strip that goes inside of it. That metal strip is made to be removed. That metal strip has to come out before they can play. Yes, sir.
What about the metal braces?
Nope. Not any hand.
Taped up.
Anything metal cannot be worn.
Anything hard or unyielding doesn't have to be metal. It
Yeah,
can be-
well, I meant that, but.
But yeah, they can't play with it. It's a danger. So every year in March, when we have our great state tournament, I get at least 10 phone calls from parents wanting to know if little Johnny or Susie could wear a cast as long as they put foam rubber on it, and I have to tell them no.
Nope.
And they don't like my answer, but I have to protect the kids. I even had one guy last year, he spent like $5 grand to have a special made cast for his son to play in our tournament, and he come into our office and showed it to me. I said, I told you on the phone it can't be anything harder or unyielding. So he spent the $5 grand to have that cast made. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him play because I'm protecting the kids. You need to too. So anyway, that's the things that you need to do there to protect the kids. One of the things you need to definitely make sure you know are the rules of your association.
Association, yep.
Because they have rules that do not have anything to do with high school league, and you need to make sure you know those rules. You should have those rules. You should read
You
those
should
rules
have those
before the
rules,
game.
Yes, and you should probably carry those with you in your bag or whatever, so you have that at the game.
Now, if you get in an argument with a coach about it, don't go run
Don't go
over
there.
your bag and get the
Right.
rules out and try to show him up.
Correct.
Let him prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? But you need to make sure you know the rules so he can't make you wrong. Now, I like this diagram here because a lot of people don't understand where you're supposed to pass the ball in
It's
a
a
violation.
baseline, or the viola- yeah.
So, if you see the shaded area, if the foul or violation happened in that area where it's shaded, go to the
Take ball on
baseline. Everything else goes out to the sideline, okay? Some of these coaches are gonna be smart enough that they have got plays designed for everything. And if they got a play that's supposed to go on the baseline and you put it on the sideline, that's not cool. You need to make sure you know where it's supposed to go out, okay? And one thing you do, if there's a timeout call, tell the coach where the ball's gonna be put in play. Coach, ball's gonna be put in play right here. So they know. So they're not over there trying to draw up some play from a place they thought it was gonna be. You've already told them where it's gonna be, so that helps a lot. Timing factors on the court, you need to make sure, I'm sure at different ages you have different times for you. So you need to know that. Let's talk about, there's certain things on the court you actually have a visible hand signal, okay? Closely guarded. How close do I have to be to Jeff to be closely guarding him? 6 feet.
6 feet. And what is that, 6 feet?
My toe tips to his toe tips. It's not because I'm reaching out, getting within 6 feet, toe to toe. And I have to be
You have to
facing.
be torso to torso.
I had a coach one time wanted me to call closely guarded with the defensive players behind the player. I'm going, Coach, get him in the front and I might start the call. Now, a lot of people don't understand closely guarded. If Jeff's got the ball and I've got a count going, he can actually, I get to 4 and then he decides to start dribbling, I should switch hands because it's a new count. Okay, he's dribbling, he gets to 4, he picks the ball up again, I switch hands again. Reason I switch hands is to make sure that coach knows I got a different count. Coming up the court, the inbound ball on the baseline, they got 5 seconds to get the ball in, I count, get it in, I switch hands. It's a different count, they got 10 seconds across half court, so I switch hands. You need to learn to switch hands. There's 3 seconds in the lane, you're not standing there visually giving off a count, okay? That's
Try to
one.
talk to the kids with the 3 seconds. Let them know, hey, number 54, you know, talk to them about 3 seconds. It's 54, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. Let them know that they need to get out.
Preventive maintenance. I usually, if I'm on the baseline and the kid's in there, I go, watch the lane, watch the lane, watch the lane. If I say it the 3rd time they haven't cleared out, I'll blow my whistle, then I'll say, number 12, you need to make sure you get out. You only got 3 seconds in there. And then, but you do it, preventive maintenance. If you do that, it's going to help you immensely. Now, shooting free throws. How long do they have to shoot the ball after I give it to them? They got 10 seconds to shoot the ball. And I've only seen, basically in high school, it called twice, and it was called twice at the state tournament one year, and the two referees got really chewed out about it. Because the same ref did it both times in the same game.
I had a friend of mine, D1 referee, Indiana game when Bobby Knight was coaching back in the day. He called the 10 seconds. Okay, needless to say, that referee wasn't coaching or wasn't reffing in the Big Ten anymore after that.
What you should do, you're up top, and the basket's over here. You count with your hand beside your body. And what you're doing is opposite of where the player's at. You don't want it on this side because he could see it out of his corner of his eye, you know.
Right.
And
You want it so that the bench can see it, not the player that's shooting the free throws. And you do not want to line up even with the free throw, because then you're going to be in the sight vision of the free throw shooter. You need to be a few steps back.
And with what they tell us at the high school level, if they're going over after the first shot, let's say they're shooting two, let's just say they went 11 seconds and then they shot the ball, you go over and say, number 12, you need to shoot a little quicker, you get close to the 10 seconds. Then he knows or she knows that you're counting, okay? Or you might want to, the first dead ball, say, hey coach, you need to talk to your kids about shooting free throws. They need to hurry it up. But you don't want to call it if you don't have to. But sometimes you have to because they don't learn from it. But anyway, it's a lot of, I could stand here
Right, we could stand here all night and talk.
for 300 hours and talk to you.
Yeah.
I love talking about basketball.
You guys got other things to talk about. If you get serious enough that you want to jump into the high school level and such, or get into traveling, I recommend getting a rule book, National Federation rule book. If you like it to the point where you want to jump into the working, traveling tournaments on weekends, I assign referees for tournaments pretty much year-round. So again, Travis and Kurt have my email address. Get a hold of them, and I can certainly start you guys in that level. So do us a favor, have a good season, have fun. I hope you guys don't get to the point where you get dejected and quit. That's not, let's hope that does not happen.
I got a question.
You're gonna get yelled at. You are gonna get yelled at.
Just
That's
be
the
thick
nature of the
skinned.
beast. But do yourself a favor. Do what you can to ignore it. Block it out. It's gonna happen. If you don't like getting yelled at, then you're in the wrong business.
I got a question for you guys. Do you make them take concussion training? Do they have a significant-
Not for the referees, all the coaches.
Yeah, the coaches do.
By law, you have to do it
But,
for
yeah.
officials too.
It only takes them 25 to 30 minutes online. They do need to do that.
Yeah, it's state law, and if they don't, and God forbid something happens, you lose your insurance. Just a little heads up on that.
Okay.
You can, National Federation or the high school?
Yep.
We've got the training.
But yeah, they can do that.
All right.
Okay. Real quick, guys, I want to pass around just an attendance sheet. Check your email on here. Make sure it's the right email. Just sign or initial next to your name, just so we know that you're here. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. Buddy, Jeff, thank you both. Just a couple of things I want to cover here before I hand it over to guys.
Guys, we just got about 5 more minutes and we'll be done, promise.
So, the goals of the league. Number one, positive experience for the kids. You guys are a part of that. We're teaching these kids, and we want them to have that positive experience. And the second goal is such that they keep playing. They keep learning about the game of basketball. And thirdly, life lessons. We want them to learn life lessons through this game. It's a great game. And like I said, you guys are a part of it. Another thing that I want to call out, there are differences between 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They're called out within your packet. So familiarize yourself with those. Please do, such that when you're going from grade to grade, you're familiar with them, you can call the games right, you'll minimize those parents and coaches yelling at you.
Right. Yeah, and just like Martin said, the third graders, there's going to be a little more leeway with them, especially the first part of the year. The coaches know that. Make sure you guys talk about that. You know, it's not going to be a travel every single time. They're going to move their feet around a lot. Maybe you guys remember what it was like in third grade. So maybe a lot of you actually went through the program too. So like Martin said, we want it to be fun. We want you guys to be instructional with the kids. You know, make sure that they know you're there to help and that you're there as part of the group. You know, you represent the Eden Prairie basketball just like the coaches do and just like we do too. So we're proud of you guys. We're proud that you're here, that you're stepping up to do this, and we want you to have a good experience with it. The other part is many of you did this last year as juniors. You guys, we're going to do the scheduling. The seniors that did it last year are going to have priority the first few games, but we are going to do juniors and also seniors that are first year. You guys will get games in. One of the things that we do is we do basically some on-court training, and what that means is that you'll go to a game before you're scheduled and watch that game with either an adult, myself, Martin, or a senior that's designated as a trainer or supervisor, somebody that's done the reffing and has good experience with it and that performs well. You'll watch that game with them. Maybe there'll be 2 or 3 people watching the game with this person, and they'll just talk about the game, talk about the traveling call or the double dribble or different things like that. So you'll watch a game before you ref, and you'll see kind of what happens. You'll see the 2 people out there reffing, and you'll talk with your experienced person and gain some kind of knowledge from that. And then the very next game, you'll go out and you'll ref, because really it's just learning by doing. You know, this is something that everybody has to do for the first time when they do this, and you just learn by doing it. So that's the other thing I want to get across to you. So seniors, I'll be sending out an email that did the reffing last year. I'll be sending out an email asking if you want to be what's called a reffing supervisor, and that's the person that would help the new refs get acclimated, help them, talk to them before the game, and make sure they understand, the grade level and what's happening. So I'll be sending out an email on that, and then I'll get your feedback on whether you want to do this or not. Yes?
If you are a supervisor, are you getting paid for helping them that game too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the reffing supervisor gets paid. I'll send out more information on that to the seniors that have 1 year previous experience, and you'll know more about that. So definitely look for your email either tonight or tomorrow, more information on that. And then I'll want some feedback on whether you want to do this or not, because it is a little added responsibility, and it'll explain what the reference supervisor is expected to do. But yes, they will get paid, and there'll be defined responsibilities for them. And then the other thing is, like I talked about before, scheduling. Typically the schedule will come out on Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to go home tonight, start working on it, start sending some emails out, so watch for that. Again, we'll try to rotate as much as we can. The first game or 2, like I said, it'll be the seniors that'll get priority, but we'll get work in the juniors as well. And again, it'll be all about you confirming back to me that you're going to do this. You don't email me back to confirm, you're not signed up. So your parents are also getting a copy of the email. Encourage them to remind you if they see the email, but you got to be watching the email, and you got to email me back, and that's how you confirm. And like we talked about before, we need to make sure you guys are there, make sure you attend. I realize things come up, people get sick, I understand. You got to let me know as soon as possible. I will find a replacement for you. Don't find your own replacement. Talk to me if you're scheduled to go and for whatever reason something happens. But we want you to be committed. That's the other part is too. I'll send the emails out. Let me know if you're not available on a certain Saturday. So I will put that down, and you won't get contacted to fill in if needed. So again, make sure you go through this handout. It's very important. Let me know if you have any questions. The rule that we have is if you don't show and I don't hear from you, you're probably not going to get any more games unless there's a good explanation. So please make sure you're there. The way you get more games and you get more money for paying, doing the games is by contacting me back. Keep in good contact with me, and I'll make sure you get lots of games. Does anybody have any questions about anything they talked about tonight? Anything for Martin or I? Yeah.
So if we're unavailable on a day, how many weeks in advance do you need to?
Just a week ahead of time is fine. If you know you're going to be gone, just let me know, and I'll have a sheet with everybody's name on it. I'll keep track of who's going to be gone. Because the way this is going to work is I'll get everybody assigned, and then if something changes, then I'll send another email out to the other guys and see if somebody can fill in.
Any other questions? All right, thank you all again.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Check your email.